welcome back to the channel. Today I'm just shooting on my phone. We're going to do a very casual update. If some of you don't follow me on Instagram, there's been major progress for the BRZ. I don't want to get you too excited. Basically, the wiring is in, as you can see, the car's in a lot more pieces now behind me. So I'll take you through a lot of the updates. If you're not following me on Instagram, you would have missed. I've got the body wiring in and a lot of other little things which I'll go through today. The shed is a mess, so you get to see what it's like when everything's a work in progress. But yeah, I'll give you a tour, give you an update for anybody who wants it. I'm feeling very motivated this Sunday morning, and I'm in before the shed's too hot. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing we'll talk about is the body loom. So the body loom's now in the engine bay. It's definitely not in place. As you can see, it's a mess at the moment, just because I've got to take all the bracing out of it and route everything the way that it in like a new route, so it doesn't get in the way of the engine and everything like that. But it's got the factory fuse box and everything like that, down to the battery. That's not a factory battery, but it's the factory battery location. You can see the terminals around the wrong way, and I've had to put a ground here. But the headlights are plugged in, ABS is back and plugged in, the brake lines are there, which we've routed back all the way from the rear under the car. It's just missing one circuit because I have to route the brake lines from there to the master cylinder, and that requires this wiring to be in place. So we're still in the process of taking all the bracing out and kind of unwrapping it and rewrapping it. But now, because we've got the factory body harness back, what I've kind of had a dilemma with, you lose a lot of the factory logic in the computers and stuff like that in the body control when you start rewiring the car with an entire say like a Haltech Nexus or something like that. It's only really meant to control lights and everything on a very basic level, so you lose a lot of features. And what kind of what changed this idea for me, and what kind of like flicked a switch in my brain, is realizing that these doors, or these cars and these doors, have an auto drop when the window goes, when you open the door, the window goes down, to prevent any like clashing of the door seals and pinching and everything like that. And then that got me thinking that like with the auto wipers, and you've got like auto headlights and everything like that, there's so much computer logic and program logic put into the factory ECUs that you simply cannot reproduce in a aftermarket application, at least not yet. So I bit the bullet. It's not really much of a sacrifice because I still had the wiring harness. I didn't throw it away, luckily, and it saves me money and time on a body harness and making a body harness. But it also means now integrating the engine ECU and having it talk and integrate with the OEM CANBUS of the 86 body loom. But what I will show you is how even now I've got this to work. So I installed all this harness and all the ECUs and stuff like that, just so I could see what didn't work. And to my surprise, a lot of it really just came back like straight away. So I mean, obviously the terminals are around the wrong way, and we're really gonna like rig this together. But if I put these terminals back on, so those terminals are on. I actually don't know if I plugged these headlights in. Yep, I did. Okay, cool. So yeah, they're all plugged in. So as you can see, they've gone into like an error mode at the moment because it has a lot of missing systems. But the lights are working, all the interior lights working, and the cluster there is working as well. But the main thing that triggered all of this is the auto up and down windows. That's one thing I just really didn't think of when I did originally committed to the kind of rewiring the entire car. And that kind of like just triggered everything for me. That I would lose a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I've got central locking, and my smart, and like the other big thing is the inductive touch. So you can see it's not going to lock because the car's on, but you can see it does trigger, or hear, I guess you can hear that it does trigger the central locking. So all that kind of stuff you would lose if I did rewire the entire car. Now, there is a hiccup. Obviously, it's in such a state at the moment that we can't say that things are a problem yet or not. But what I've found, of all things, the car does not want to turn off. So the ignition's on, and I think this has something to do with the steering lock ECU not being present. So it's all of a security thing. So it all integrates into the CAN bus, and because it's not getting that feedback from it would be like an immobilizer or a security system, it now refuses to turn off. But you can see like the blower motor and everything all works and everything like that. If it had AC, it would be on. The clock's working, the hazards, see the indicators are working. So all that kind of stuff is working really well. I've got my electric power steering and everything like that. All those ECUs are plugged in. That's my transmission mount I haven't finished down there, if you're wondering what that is. I gotta trim those bolts, but yeah, so the interior light's working. All that feedback is kind of working at the moment. That odometer looks like an error, but it's the actual kilometers I had when I stopped, when I took the car down, tore the car down. So yeah, everything's working, even the power windows. So yeah, it's crazy. And like power mirrors, like I can demonstrate this all day, but it is so, as much as the harness is really annoyingly integrated between the engine bay and the cabin, it's actually completely independent of the engine harness, which is a bit different than most other cars that I've kind of had experience with. A lot of the stuff would have shared connectors and stuff like that, but these cars are so simple. It's actually really nice. There's daytime running lights, it's cool. So all it does, because of the design of the 86, it's meant to be a race car. They've made a junction connector, well, 2 junction connectors for the engine harness to go into. So unplugging those junction connectors means you should be able to then theoretically pull the engine after disconnecting those connectors and a few kind of alternator starter wires and all that kind of stuff out of the engine, off the engine, and then you should be able to pull it because it's a race car, right? So when in other cars they'll have like the engine ECUs will be in the engine bay and all that kind of stuff. Everything in an 86 is very separate. So the engine ECU is on that side under the cowling. With my plan now is to run a Motec. So a Motec M150. Motec makes a kit that lets you swap an engine into an 86 and it will integrate and translate the OEM CANBUS using the engine ECU, and then the engine ECU becomes a communication device more than a engine control device. So you get an adapter harness that then communicates from the engine ECU to the Motec M150, and the Motec M150 runs the engine. So when you pin into these connectors, these are the factory. This is where the factory FA20 engine harness would go into, these 2 connectors here. You're sending signals from a non-genuine or non-factory engine And if you put them into the correct pins of that connector, it feeds that correct information to the engine ECU as it's expecting it, and the engine ECU sees no error. And so the engine ECU now becomes a communication device which sends that data to all the systems across the CAN bus network that need it. The main one being engine speed and kind of like engine on and off. But obviously there's a lot of integration that you would not, I hate CAN bus on a good day, but you now no longer require the engine ECU to run the engine. It now becomes a communication device for the CAN bus network. Then you adapt that engine ECU, then to the M150 using an adapter harness, and then M150 runs the engine, the aftermarket engine that you put in the 86 chassis. So you keep aircon controls, and you keep ABS, and you keep cruise control and everything like that you would lose realistically by not being able to integrate into the 86 body harness using one of those aftermarket vehicle control ECUs. So now, because of that engine swap package by Motec, I can now maintain ABS, and I can maintain aircon and aircon controls. You'd be very surprised. The CAN bus is very complex. On as simple as the car is, the aircon controls are CAN bus of all things. So if you have a GTS or a BRZ trim, let's say a GTS 86 or a BRZ, those aircon controls that are all digital, that's one CAN bus plug. If you don't have the manual aircon controls, you no longer have control over that, those aircon controls and the blower motor at all without CAN bus integration. So you lose a lot of the factory features, like I said, by removing the 86 body harness. So after that technical blowout, if that went over your head, basically everything that I wanted to work worked. So everything in the body control that I really wanted to work is working. So we've got central locking, we've got headlights, we've got light control, we've got AC control, we've got the cluster working, we've got the power windows and the power window drop when you open the door. That kind of control you just don't get with aftermarket ECUs that control the entire vehicle. There's so much logic in the factory computers, and I kind of lost my way a bit with this whole project. It kind of got blown out of proportion because I was suddenly becoming or compromising my ABS and central locking. I was going to go down to a key, and it's like, no, if the car had it already, I don't want to get rid of it. And that's something that this entire build is inspired by, is it's not doing it for the sake of power, it's doing it for the sake or the way that it should have been done from factory. If this car should have come with this engine, it needs to have power mirrors, power doors, central power, like conductive touch, inductive touch, central locking, all that stuff, aircon. It's the nature of this build. It is not a race car, it is a street car. And I lost my way a bit with that, and that's why I kind of got a bit unmotivated with it all for a while there, because it just got blown out of proportion. But we're back, and the body harness is in, it's all working, and I am so happy. So next on the list, we've got, it does look very factory in there, but if you look closely, we've got 1000cc port Bosch EV14 injectors in there, or they're like 980cc or whatever you want. So I've got injector adapters that are 14mm because the EV14s are minis. So these are the factory injectors, and the EV14s are like 3/4 of that length. So when you put them into the factory rail, they don't meet into the intake. I was worried I had to buy radium fuel rails again, because I've already got a set for the FSE, but I didn't end up using them because it's a long story. Anyway, so I'm gonna get this line or this factory rail adapted to an AN fitting. You can get push-on and clip-on fitting adapters that meet the OEM rail. And then yeah, we'll have 1,000 cc's on the OEM rail, which is very good. Saves me a bit of time and money. After that, I've got the all but one of the factory brake lines installed, because this one has to cross over the firewall into the factory ABS, so that will be controlled correctly. That is the main integration that the CAN bus requires, or this is the main component that requires the most CAN bus integration. It'll take all 4 wheel speeds and engine speeds and brake input and all that kind of stuff. That gets very upset if trying to make that work without the factory harness. So in order to retain that, you really want to keep the factory harness in play. Moving down back to the interior, you can see my transmission mounts through the floor pan there. That's just seam sealer. I've got to trim those bolts, but you can see there, that's the shifter position, so that works out really well. So the BRZ shifter uses a different, let me take you on a tour of the shed actually. Yes, I have the keys. So this is the BRZ shifter here. As you can see by my note, I have to bend it forward and left because of the position of the gearbox shifter linkage. It actually, in 6th gear, it will hit the handbrake. And also another thing, despite the shifters being very similar, the reverse lockout is different. You can see how thin the 86 one is versus how thick the IS250 one is. Also, the shifter is completely different. They will mount all the same and they'll look very similar, but you can see this one has a bend to it, whereas the IS250 one is completely straight. I'd show you, but I have no idea where it is. As you can see, the shed is a mess. So yeah, that shifter's in position. I just have to bend the actual shifter rod away from the handbrake. Other than that, cluster's working, blow-up motor's working, all the security's working, the interior's out and completely cleaned. I do have to possibly get a steering lock actuator ECU in order for the car to turn off. You can see it's currently blinking yellow, but if I put the key inside the car, it goes green. So it is recognizing the car, recognizing the key, and it's kind of preparing to start. But other than that, I can't seem to get it to turn off, and I think it's something to do with the CAN bus logic, security logic. So now we come to the back of the car. As you can see, there's a sausage waiting to be installed, but really, I took the rear subframe out at the moment, just to give it a big clean, and also I've got these diff risers installed because when the car's so low, the CV axle angle really likes to snap axles, as I found out when I was turboed. So that creates a problem then when the axle is installed. The CV's, the boot itself rubs on this inner subframe section there, and it basically will rub itself either open or rub itself, or just simply not install into the subframe at all. So I need to get some diff axle seals and reinstall the axles and see how they're fouling, whether they're fouling or not, or how much, whether I can just hammer or if I have to actually notch the subframe itself to give more clearance for the axles. And then you can see now I got a filler neck. That's all functional. So under here, I've got a big deep clean, massive wipe down underneath, and some rust prevention around the place in little crevices. The filler neck's all plumbed in. We can track it down all the way to the charcoal canister, which is there. And then yeah, the tank's installed, all ready to go. You will be able to see back here, the tank is open, so we completely washed it out with water. That way it's completely fresh when it's ready to be filled with E85. You can see it came from a very wet donor vehicle. That is a lot of corrosion. So that's the factory sender. We're not running this factory sender, we're running the Deutschwerks twin fuel pump hanger, but we will be running the Venturi pump to feed it. So I need to get another one of them. But otherwise, everything's still going. It's a lot closer now. So that's where the project is at the moment. I really wanted to make an update for those of you who find me over YouTube. I have been getting a lot of messages and interaction from people that are discovering the project from YouTube and then finding me on Instagram and that kind of stuff. So I do strongly encourage you keep up with me on Instagram. It's a lot more frequent posting, as all I have to do is just kind of like take photos along the way, because really I'm just a guy in a shed, and to point, I don't have like a whole film crew or anything like that, and to point a camera at what I'm doing does take a lot of effort and delays the project a fair bit. But the project is underway. I will keep you updated more on Instagram, but I will try and make some more YouTube videos as things get bigger and bigger. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you'd like to see. If you don't mind this format, because this format is a lot easier for me to film. It's just me talking to the phone. It's not a full production like some of my other videos, which really got in the way of the project. But let me know what you want to see. I'll see what I can do about making it, and then as always, I'll keep you updated on Instagram as things progress. I am going to Japan in a couple months, so that's taking a lot of my time and my money. But after I'm back from Japan, we will get cracking, look into some ECU work and some fuel work. Really, all that's left on it is fuel, cooling, ECU, and clutch and drive line and that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much the entirety of the car, but you know, those kind of categories. Yeah, so I'll see you on Instagram, but I'll see you every now and then back here on YouTube. So let me know what you want to see, and let me know if you're happy with this format and all that kind of stuff. But I'll see you in the next one.